when I made House of the Clock and Its Walls, I had my DP watch La Residencia, you know, The House That Screamed. It's such a cerrador, and I love Se película no para dormir.
So Eli, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
It's
you.
a great pleasure to have you here. I want to start by asking you, your films have a lot of young people, and we as audience, we get to scream to the screen, don't do that, that's stupid, and whatnot. So I was wondering if you could go back to the moment that a younger Eli Roth was writing Cabin Fever, and if you could scream something to him.
I'd say keep going. I'd say don't worry, you're gonna get it made. I wrote Cabin Fever when I was like 21 or 22.
Yeah.
So I was writing it about me and my friends and people our age, and you know, I like the idea of being able to write constantly for young people. Yeah. And now I'm much older, but it's fun to still write for teenagers. I love it. I'm really interested in how young people think and what they're interested in and what they're talking about. So, and now all my friends have kids that are that age. Yeah. So I have all these secret weapons of like, okay, I just need to talk to your son or daughter for a while. And if I'm writing a scene and I say, okay, if you guys were talking about this, you're worried about that, what would you say? How would you deal with it? So, and then when you get the actors in, then you rehearse it. But it's fun. I like writing for all ages.
I used to love this town. Until what happened that night.
Yesterday you talked about Mexican cinema a little bit, especially Mexican horror cinema. So I was wondering, and you talked about Poison for the Fairies. That's really beautiful for us to actually hear it from a master himself. So I was wondering, how's your relationship with Latin America cinema and Mexican cinema, and have you had the chance to actually see some new Mexican cinema and going like, oh, this is interesting?
Well, it's tough. When you're making a movie, I just go into my own hole and focus on the movie. Sometimes in prep, I'm watching movies, but at a certain point, I just have to shut out and focus on my own creativity. So once you're done with the film, now is the period where I'm like, oh, I get to catch up on everything. I get to see all these new films. But yeah, I love Latin cinema and Latin American horror, and obviously Who Can Kill a Child and La Residencia. Even when I made House of the Clock and Its Walls, I had my DP watch La Residencia, you know, The House That Screamed. It's such a cerrador, and I love Se película no para dormir. You know, when you're watching the Spanish films, Balaguerro, and whether it's Mateo Gil and Rec, you know, I'm super interested, you know, and just seeing, you know, I'd met all these people at the Sitges Film Festival. I met Santiago Segura 20 years ago. So, you know, I loved Dia de la Bestia, and Alex de la Iglesia has a huge series now, 30 Coins on HBO. So you're seeing Spanish cinema, Latin American cinema, obviously my co-writer in Green Inferno, Knock Knock, Guillermo Moedo, you know, he's from Uruguay. So, and I loved working with, you know, kind of young Latin actors, whether it was Ana de Armas, Lorenzo Izzo, Cami Morone, just bringing in new faces into cinema. But yeah, I loved, you know, there's such beauty. Poison for the Fairies is such a beautiful film. But really the Serrador movies just completely blew me away. I really, really love them. So now you have directors like Gigi Salguero, even though she's Mexican and Canadian. I've known Gigi for a long time. I think she's an amazing, talented director. I'm really happy. You know, she's in VHS 85. But I loved her Hulu Into the Dark short that she did. And I was actually producing a film that fell apart that Gigi was going to direct. So I feel like Gigi's kind of the next one that could really pop.
Really awesome you mentioned Green Inferno. I got to watch it again yesterday, and of course that comes from your love, I guess, from Cannibal Holocaust. So I was wondering if you could pinpoint the films that you love from where when you were younger that made you make Thanksgiving.
Obviously, you know, you can start with the originals, the Black Christmas and Halloween, and then My Bloody Valentine. I love the holiday-themed ones, you know, April Fool's Day, Mother's Day, Silent Night, Deadly Night, huge influence. But also The Prowler, Joseph Zito's The Prowler was a big one. There's a film from the 90s called Mute Witness that Anthony Waller directed that's amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
No, I've never seen it.
But you got to see Mute Witness. The first hour of that is slasher movie perfection.
Okay.
The cat and mouse in it is incredible. Scream, Kevin Williamson, Wes Craven, of course. So those are the films, you know, Friday the 13th, those are the movies that inspired me. But, you know, when you're a mix of all these different ideas, as I'm prepping the movie, my DP, Milan Khadema, who shot Hostel and Hostel 2 and Thanksgiving, we watched Toby Dammit by Fellini, Five Easy Pieces. I wanted the diner to look like Five Easy Pieces. I watched Diva, the Jean-Jacques Baynex film, and even the cast, they're like, what movie should we watch? I was like, and I told them to watch Sorcerer, because the performances and what the cast went through in that movie. Betty Blue was one that I love, Beatrice Dahl. So just stuff that I wanted to break their brains a little bit and see like how far they were willing to go to watch these movies. And they did, they watched them. They're like, that's so interesting. I was like, if you want to see a cool, understated performance, watch Jack Nicholson in Five Easy Pieces. And Beatrice Dahl was 21 in Betty Blue. 21,
wow.
That's your age. What are you gonna do? And they're like, okay, like, I get it. You know, don't just watch. And then Nell Verlaque, I had her watch Mute Witness. So not just watching horror movies, but just watching great performances in general and how to strive for greatness and come up with classic characters.
Finally, last question. In honor of Thanksgiving, what's in 2023 Eli Roth thankful for?
I am thankful that I finally made this movie and it's coming out in theaters all over the world. I got scared during the pandemic. I thought, man, this may never happen. If we get out of this, I'm gonna make that movie, and we did it.